Hi, I'm Darin Kennedy, and this is my reading at noon on Saturday at Illogicon 2017. Today I'll be reading from my paranormal thriller, The Mussorgsky Riddle, and my contemporary fantasy, Pawn's Gambit, available from Curiosity Quills and Falstaff Books. And I'm here all weekend at Illogicon, so feel free to drop by my table and say hello. I guess we'll start with Pawn's Gambit. This is my newest book that just came out in October, and this is basically about superheroes based on the game of chess. My main character's name is Stephen, and at the point in the book that I'm starting, he has already been determined to be the pawn in the chess game, and he is now seeking out the other pieces to keep them from getting killed by the other side, which is already completely assembled, empowered, and not being particularly nice. And he has now found his knight and is tracking him down in the streets of Baltimore. I have a proposition for Emilio. Stephen attempted to smile. A job opportunity. Look, I don't know what it is you're selling, but every second we spend here talking puts my man in deeper trouble. Help me drag his butt out of all this bullshit, and you can talk his full head off for all I care. Lena resumed her jog down the fractured sidewalk. I just hope you know how to handle yourself in a fight. Stephen took a deep breath. That makes two of us. He kept up with Lena for the first couple of blocks until the stabbing in his side flared again, nearly sending him to the broken concrete. Paralyzed by the pain, he watched as Lena rounded the corner ahead. Stumbling through the agony and nausea, Stephen did his best to follow, the streets dirtier and more littered with each passing block. The few stores in the area still in business had bars in the windows, and every building he passed sported more than its share of graffiti. Even more unnerving, despite the cloak's power, Stephen couldn't escape the notion he was being watched. He scanned the area, but other than an emaciated dog and a couple of cars, the street was deserted. The cramping in his side eventually let up enough to allow Stephen to run again, and he applied every bit of speed and endurance at his command to catch up to Lena. He rounded the corner of what must have been the 20th city block and spotted her. Leaning with her back against a rusty El Camino, Lena's chest heaved as she worked to catch her breath. The pouch, cool and silent at his hip, grew warm, its familiar drone returning. 2 blocks past Lena, dozens of men and boys filled the street, their colors alternating between blue and black. Vega and his boys had found the Salvatruchas. Lena popped her head above the El Camino's hood to survey the situation and moved down the street toward the growing mob. Stephen sprinted to her vacated hiding place and then followed her to the next block and concealed himself behind a pile of old tires. Peering from his spot, Stephen had no trouble making out Vago. A few inches taller than the rest of the throng, he argued with a man Stephen didn't recognize. He guessed a certain high school wrestler with an underlying death wish was also there, right in the thick of it. As Lena closed on the growing throng, another wave of nausea sent Stephen to his knees as the pain in his side returned with a vengeance. He retrieved the pawn from his pocket and found its marble surface glowing with a white shimmer that pulsed in time with the throbbing in his abdomen. The radiance grew more brilliant, and the stabbing sensation in Stephen's side flared into sheer agony. He shifted his gaze skyward to avoid the icon's blinding brilliance. There, above the gathering crowd, and atop a 2-story office building, stood a man of medium height and dark complexion. His attire was black as midnight, a twisted depiction of a Native American warrior's garb. He wore a headgear fashioned in the likeness of a bird of prey, the curved beak coming to a point above the bridge of his nose. A traditional Native American breastplate covered his neck and torso, an intricate lattice of bone hairpipe, buffalo horn, and leather. A horizontal line of white accentuated the skin around his eyes that sparkled with a familiar dark scintillation. His well-muscled arms held a longbow the color of night, knocked with a cruelly barbed arrow, its shaft easily half an inch in diameter. The pain in Stephen's side flashed white-hot as he looked past the arrow's dark fletching, and caught the man's steady gaze. The archer studied him for several long seconds, his grimace slowly evolving into an almost congenial smile, as if to say, "This is not for you." Once he had Stephen's full attention, he shifted his attention to the increasingly belligerent crowd below him and altered his aim to target the heart of the rabble. Stephen took off at a dead sprint for the center of the crowd, splitting his attention between the danger before him and the threat above. Before he crossed even a quarter of the distance, the archer drew the bowstring with a slow, deliberate pull and let the bolt fly. Chapter 11. En passant. The black arrow left the assassin's bow with a crackle of obsidian energy and sped toward its mark. Too little. A split-second estimate placed 60 additional yards between Stephen's position and the heart of the mob. Too late. With a brand of hope familiar only to the desperate, Stephen gripped his icon and dove forward. Time slowed to a crawl mid-step as Stephen's 5 senses simultaneously expanded and focused. The sensation was foreign yet familiar, as if he had lived that exact moment before, but in another time, another life. The fleeting stillness coupled with his heightened senses brought the surrounding world into crystal clarity. The angry mob stood before him, immobile and silent, unaware of the temporarily postponed death sentence approaching from above. The ebon missile hung in the air, its inexorable progress halted for the moment. The archer's static gaze remained fixed on the crowd below, a gleeful smirk frozen on his thin lips. Before Stephen's mind could grasp what was happening, the hand gripping the pawn icon made a swift but subtle movement forward, as if moving the game piece over an invisible chessboard. An instant later, Stephen's entire perspective shifted. No longer a spectator, Stephen found himself amid the unmoving mob and standing back to back with Emilio. The short jaunt landed him in the archer's direct field of fire. The barbed missile, its tip pointed at Stephen's heart like a compass to magnetic north, hung frozen in the air less than 20 feet away. Another breath, and time began to resume its relentless march. The bolt gradually accelerated toward the center of Stephen's chest, and that's when instinct took over. His mouth had no more formed the word shield than the shimmering icon in his hand vanished, replaced by a body-length rectangular shield strapped to his left arm, a subtle white iridescence emanating from his polished surface. A split second later, the lethal projectile struck Stephen's hastily created defense, with a force more like a wrecking ball than an arrow. The impact sent both him and Emilio sprawling, and though the shield held, he half expected one or both of them to be skewered by the archer's follow-up shot. So that's a little bit of Stephen tracking down his first piece and trying to save him both from, in general, whenever he finds one of his pieces, there's something going on in their actual life that he has to save them from, but there's also something going on with the game he has to save them from, and so he always has more than one challenge to deal with, it seems. I'll read a little segment from the Mussorgsky riddle. This is my first published book, though Pawn's Gambit was the first one I ever wrote. And what you'll find different is Pawn's Gambit is sort of your traditional third-person past tense, whereas Mussorgsky is all written first-person present tense, and makes quite a different reading. The Mussorgsky riddle is basically about a psychic who is taking a tour of a young boy's mind. The boy is comatose or not really talking much, and she's trying to figure out what is wrong with him. And when she starts going into his mind, she finds that his mind is splintered into a lot of different characters, and this is one of the first ones that she meets. My gaze drifts back to the painting before me, and it locks with the forlorn eyes of the Anthony within. Staring out at me in desperation, he appears every bit the prisoner. We stand, neither of us moving an inch for what seems an eternity, until his attention shifts to something across my shoulder. His expression descends into something like disgust. I whirl about and find I'm not alone. A misshapen man, no more than 2 feet tall, peers at me from the arched doorway. His skin appears brown, though it's unclear if from dirt, pigment, or both. On his head rests a forked cone of animal hide, with bells at either end. His worn leather boots are covered in mud, while his rough clothing is replete with buckles of all shapes and sizes. He twirls his mossy beard absently, his thickened fingernails like tree bark. Who are you? His voice the groan of trees bowing in a hurricane. The gnome drags a grimy sleeve across his runny nose. What are you doing here? I'm not sure. I shift my body, ensuring the dagger remains hidden from view, and offer him a pleasant smile. The gesture isn't reciprocated. You don't belong here. I know the exhibition inside and out. You aren't part of it. I'm a visitor. We don't get visitors here. I beg to differ. I perform a subtle curtsy. Unless you believe me a figment of your imagination. The gnome snorts. All right, we have a visitor. What is it you want? You're from the painting, aren't you? The one down the hall. A quizzical look crosses his face. Why do you ask such things? It is my nature to ask such questions. I search for any way to connect with this strange creature, and then in a flash, it comes to me. I am called Scheherazade. The gnome stares at me in awe. The Scheherazade? I work to keep any hint of confusion from my features. The same. He scratches the side of his head. Dried bits of mud fall from his scalp to the hardwood floor, a scalp that has a grain not unlike the wood that frames his picture. Tunny. Pardon? My name. Tunny. You're from the painting. The sign said Nomus. He squints at me. His nose crinkles as if he smells something foul. Perhaps. What are you doing out here then among the exhibition, I believe he called it? We are the exhibition, and don't you forget it. He huffs and shoots up the hallway toward his alcove. You're the intruder here. I slip the dagger into its scabbard and give chase. Catching them, however, is harder than anticipated. How can a creature with such short legs move so quickly? I'm sorry, Tunny, I meant no offense. No one ever means offense, he shouts as he scrambles away. Yet that's all they ever do. Offend, offend, offend. He steps into the alcove with the woodland scene, and a scuffing sound fills the air. I sprint up the hallway and arrive at his alcove in time to find him halfway into his painting, struggling to get his other foot up and over the bottom of the frame. Wait, I rush to his side. I need your help. My help? He lets out something between a snort and a laugh. You, fair Scheherazade, an angel among swine, desire my help? I didn't come here of my own free will, and I can't leave. Did you not see the door? The door with the enormous lock? He lets out another phlegm-laden chuckle as he finishes hoisting himself into the woodland scene. What do you think keeps us all here? You can't leave? Of course not. We are the exhibition. He snorts, and people say gnomes are thick. I try a different tack. What if others wanted to visit the exhibition? See the art. Why would you put all of this behind a locked door? You would have to ask her. Jackpot. And who might that be, Tunny? Silence, gnome. The voice from before echoes throughout the space from nowhere in particular, its grating tone sends my skin crawling. You have already said far too much. The exasperation on Tunny's face evaporates, replaced by wide-eyed terror. My apologies, mistress. Be warned. Speak out of turn again, and you will face the consequences. The voice grows quiet. And as for you, weaver of tales, I know who you are and what you have come to do. Who are you? I shout. And what have you done with Anthony? Ah, fair Scheherazade, I recommend you silence your questions and leave now, lest you become another of our fine exhibits. You really should listen to her. Tunny trembles within his mahogany frame. She rarely speaks in jest. I'll leave as soon as she shows me the way, though I'm not sure why I should fear anyone who won't show their face. A screeching cackle fills the room. You don't want to see my face, Scheherazade. Thank you.
All right, and how could people follow you online?
Oh, if you want to follow me online, I have a website, darinkennedy.com. I have Facebook, I have Twitter. You can go to the Curiosity Quills website, which is the publisher of the Mussorgsky riddle. But the main thing would be to look at my website, and you can sign up for my newsletter from there. Still gathering names and emails, and would love to get in touch with you. Thank you very much.